Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Dakota, looking out at the stars through the main window. The ship had been traveling through space for 6 months now. They were far from Earth, exploring new areas that no human had ever seen before. Jake felt proud of his crew. They had worked hard and found many interesting things during their long journey. The Dakota was not a big warship. It was a research vessel built for exploration. 43 people called it home. They had scientists, engineers, doctors, and security officers. Everyone had a job to do, and they all did it well. Jake had been their captain for 3 years, and he knew each person by name. "Captain," said Amy Rodriguez from her seat at the communications station, "I'm getting some strange readings on long-range sensors." Jake walked over to look at Amy's screen. She was young, but very good at her job. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and her brown eyes looked worried as she studied the data coming in. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. "Multiple ships, sir. A lot of them. They're coming this way fast." Jake felt his stomach tighten. They were very far from any human colonies. No Earth ships should be out here. "How many ships, Amy?" Amy's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "At least 200, Captain. Maybe more. They're still too far away to get exact numbers." "Pete." Collins looked up from his engineering station. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. Pete had been working on spaceships longer than anyone else on the crew. "Captain, that many ships means a fleet, a big one." Jake nodded. He knew Pete was right. 200 ships was not a small group. It was an invasion force or a major military operation. "Amy, try to contact them. Use standard peaceful greeting protocols." Amy worked at her station for several minutes. She tried different radio frequencies and even sent light signals. Nothing worked. "No response, Captain. They're not answering any of our calls." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew this was bad news. When ships in space refused to talk, it usually meant they had hostile intentions. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. "About 4 hours at their current speed," Amy replied. Jake turned to his security chief, Lisa Barnes. She was a tough woman with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. Lisa had served in the Earth Defense Force before joining the Dakota. "Lisa, what do you think?" Lisa stood up from her station. "Captain, 200 ships don't just show up by accident. Someone sent them here. They either followed us or they were waiting for us. Any idea who they might be?" "Could be pirates, but that's too many ships for a pirate fleet. More likely it's an alien military force. We've never made contact with any alien species this far out." Jake felt a chill run down his back. First contact with aliens was something every space explorer dreamed about, but not like this. Not with a massive fleet that refused to communicate. "Pete, how are our engines?" Jake asked. "Running fine, Captain, but if they want to catch us, they probably can. There are too many of them." Dr. Carl Hudson spoke up from his science station. Carl was the ship's expert on alien life. He was a thin man with messy brown hair who always seemed to be thinking about something complicated. "Captain, I should check our database for any information about ships in this area." "Do it," Jake ordered. "Amy, keep trying to contact them. Lisa, prepare the crew for possible hostile contact." Lisa nodded and began giving orders to her security team. The ship's alarm system came on, making a low beeping sound that told everyone something was wrong. People started moving faster in the hallways as they went to their emergency positions. 3 hours passed. The alien fleet kept getting closer. Amy tried everything she could think of to make contact, but the alien ships stayed silent. Dr. Hudson found nothing useful in the computer files. The unknown ships were completely new. "Captain," Amy said, her voice tight with worry, "they're close enough now for detailed scans." Jake looked at the main screen. It now showed the alien fleet in detail. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They were long and sleek, colored like black glass. Each ship was about the same size as the Dakota, but there were so many of them they filled the screen. 237 ships, Amy reported. "They're surrounding us." Jake watched as the alien vessels moved into a perfect circle around the Dakota. It was like watching a net close. Within minutes, the human ship was completely trapped. No matter which direction they tried to go, alien ships blocked their path. "They're really good at this," Lisa said grimly. "This is military-level coordination." Suddenly, Amy's communication station lit up with activity. "Captain, I'm getting a signal. They're trying to talk to us." "Put it on the main speaker, Jake." "Ordered." A voice filled the bridge. It was clearly alien, but somehow the words were in English. The voice was cold and mechanical, like a computer was speaking. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. You have violated sacred space. You will prepare for judgment and cleansing." Jake felt his blood turn cold. Sacred space? Judgment and cleansing? These aliens thought the Dakota had done something wrong. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Dakota," he said into the communications system. "We are peaceful explorers. We did not know this area was claimed by anyone. We mean no harm." The alien voice came back quickly. "There is no innocence for your kind. The ancient destroyers have returned. You will surrender in 1 hour or be destroyed." The communication ended. The bridge fell silent except for the quiet humming of the ship's systems. "Ancient destroyers?" Dr. Hudson said. "What are they talking about?" "I don't know," Jake replied. "But they think we're someone else. Someone they really don't like." Amy checked her instruments. "Captain, they're jamming our communications. I can't send any messages to Earth." Pete's voice came over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, something is interfering with our jump drive. We can't make the jump to faster than light speed." Jake realized they were truly trapped. The alien fleet had cut off all their escape routes. In 1 hour, they would have to surrender or fight. Fighting was impossible against so many ships. But surrendering to aliens who called them ancient destroyers did not sound like a good option either. He looked at his crew. These were good people who trusted him to keep them safe. Now he had less than 1 hour to figure out how to save their lives. Jake Morrison paced around the bridge, thinking hard. 50 minutes remained before the alien deadline. His crew worked at their stations, but he could see the fear in their eyes. Everyone knew they were in serious trouble. "Dr. Hudson, have you found anything about these ancient destroyers they mentioned?" Jake asked. Carl looked up from his computer screen. His face was pale and worried. "Nothing in our database, Captain, but the way they said it suggests these destroyers are from their history, maybe their mythology or religious beliefs. So they think we're some kind of legendary enemy? That's my guess, but why they would confuse humans with ancient aliens, I have no idea." Amy Rodriguez turned around in her chair. "Captain, I've been studying their ships. Their design is completely different from anything in our files. These aliens are not from any known spacefaring civilization." Jake nodded. The situation kept getting worse. Not only were they trapped, but they were dealing with a completely unknown alien species that had already decided humans were their ancient enemies. Navigator Sam Turner spoke up from his station. Sam was a quiet man, with careful eyes who rarely said anything unless it was important. Captain, I've been looking at the stellar charts. There's something interesting nearby. What kind of something? Jake asked. Sam pointed to his navigation screen. A dying star system. About 2 light hours from here. The star is very unstable. It's been throwing out radiation bursts and solar flares for months. And that helps us how? Well, sir, all that radiation might interfere with their jamming equipment. If we could get close enough to the stellar activity, we might be able to restore our jump drive or send a distress signal. Lisa Barnes frowned. Flying into a radiation storm sounds extremely dangerous. More dangerous than surrendering to aliens who want to judge and cleanse us? Sam asked. Jake thought about it. Sam was right. They had no good options. But flying toward a dying star was at least doing something instead of just waiting to be captured. Pete, Jake called to the engine room through the intercom. How are our radiation shields? Pete Collins's voice came back through the speaker. They're in good shape, Captain. We upgraded them before leaving Earth, but I don't know how much punishment they can take from a dying star. If we flew toward that unstable star system, could we survive it? There was a pause. Maybe. For a short time. But, Captain, why would we want to do something that dangerous? Jake explained Sam's idea about the radiation interfering with the alien jamming. Pete was quiet for a moment, then said, It might work. The interference could disrupt their equipment, but it would disrupt ours, too. Danny Shaw, the ship's pilot, turned around from his flight controls. Danny was young and confident, with steady hands and quick reflexes. Captain, if you want to try it, I can get us there. But those alien ships will follow us. Let them follow, Jake said. Maybe the radiation will affect their ships, too. Dr. Hudson looked worried. Captain, flying into that much radiation will be dangerous for the crew. We'll need to take precautions. What kind of precautions? Everyone should take radiation medicine. Dr. Johnson has supplies in the medical bay, and we should seal off parts of the ship to create safe areas. Jake made his decision. All right, we're going to try it. Amy, send a message to the alien. Fleet, tell them we need time to prepare for surrender. What should I say? Tell them our ship needs 1 hour to shut down our weapons and secure our systems. Make it sound official. Amy sent the message. A few minutes later, the alien voice came back. You have 1 additional hour. Use this time wisely. Prepare for judgment. Danny, plot a course for that star system, Jake ordered. But don't start moving yet. Sam, I need exact information about the radiation levels we'll face. Pete, I want you and your team to boost our shields as much as possible. Mary Phillips should help you with the modifications. Mary Phillips was one of Pete's best technicians. She was smart and worked well under pressure. Jake knew they would need their best people working on the shields. Lisa, prepare the crew for what we're about to do. Make sure everyone takes their radiation medicine. Lisa nodded and began giving orders to her security team. Soon, people were moving through the ship, making preparations. The medical officer, Dr. Kate Johnson, started giving out radiation medicine to everyone on board. 30 minutes passed. Pete reported that the shields were as strong as they could make them. Sam had calculated the exact course they needed to fly. Danny had the ship, ready to move at maximum speed. Captain, Amy said, I've been monitoring the alien fleet. They're maintaining their positions around us, but they're not moving closer. Good. They're waiting for us to surrender. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Everyone ready? They all nodded. Jake could see they were scared, but they trusted him. That made him feel both proud and terrified. Danny, take us toward the star system. Maximum speed! Yes, sir. The Dakota began to move. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Amy called out, "Captain! The alien ships are following us! They're maintaining the encirclement formation!" Jake watched the main screen. The alien ships moved like they were all controlled by one mind. They kept the Dakota surrounded while matching its speed perfectly. "How long until we reach the radiation field?" Jake asked Sam. 45 minutes at current speed. The ship flew through space with over 200 alien vessels around it. Jake wondered what the alien commanders were thinking. Did they suspect what the humans were planning? Or did they think the Dakota was just trying to run away? 20 minutes later, Amy reported something new. "Captain, I'm picking up electromagnetic disturbances ahead. We're getting close to the edge of the radiation field. How are our systems holding up?" Jake asked. Pete's voice came from the engine room. "Everything looks good so far, but the real test will come when we get deeper into the radiation." The main screen began to flicker slightly as they flew closer to the dying star. The radiation was starting to affect their equipment. "Captain," Sam said, "we're entering the outer edge of the radiation field now." Jake felt the ship vibrate slightly. The lights on the bridge dimmed for a moment, then came back to normal. "Shields are holding," Pete reported, "but I'm reading increased radiation levels throughout the ship." Dr. Johnson's voice came over the intercom. "Medical bay to bridge. I'm seeing some crew members with early signs of radiation exposure. Nothing serious yet, but we need to monitor everyone carefully." Jake nodded. This was what he had expected. "How are the alien ships doing?" Amy checked her sensors. "Some of them are showing signs of system problems. A few ships are falling behind the main group. Their technology might not handle radiation as well as ours," Lisa observed. "Let's hope so," Jake said. The Dakota flew deeper into the radiation storm. The main screen flickered more often now, and Jake could hear the ship's systems working harder to compensate for the electromagnetic interference. "Captain," Amy said excitedly, "the jamming signal is getting weaker. I think the radiation is disrupting their equipment. Can you send a distress signal yet?" "Not yet, but I'm getting closer. If we go deeper into the radiation field, I might be able to break through completely." Jake looked at the main screen. The dying star was visible now, throwing out massive flares of energy and radiation. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Take us deeper, Danny." "Yes, sir. But, Captain, this is getting really dangerous." "I know, but it's our only chance." The ship flew toward the unstable star, with over 200 alien vessels still following. Jake wondered if he was leading his crew to safety or to their deaths. The Dakota shook harder as it flew deeper into the radiation storm around the dying star. Jake Morrison held onto his captain's chair as the ship's lights flickered on and off. The main screen showed the star ahead of them, huge and angry, throwing out streams of deadly energy. "Radiation levels are getting critical," Pete Collins reported from the engine room. His voice sounded strained over the intercom. "I don't know how much more our shields can take." "How are the alien ships doing?" Jake asked. Amy Rodriguez worked frantically at her communications station. "About half of them are having serious problems. Some have stopped following us. Others are moving in strange patterns, like their navigation systems are failing." Jake felt a small bit of hope. Maybe their plan was working. Maybe the radiation was affecting the alien ships more than the Dakota. "Captain," Dr. Kate Johnson called from the medical bay, "I have 15 crew members with radiation sickness symptoms. Nothing life-threatening yet, but it's getting worse." "Understood. Keep monitoring everyone." Sam Turner looked up from his navigation station. Captain, we're approaching the most dangerous part of the radiation field. The star's activity is increasing. As if the star had heard him, the main screen suddenly filled with bright light. A massive solar flare erupted from the star's surface, sending a wave of energy and radiation toward their position. "Incoming solar flare!" Sam shouted. "Impact in 30 seconds!" "All hands brace for impact," Jake called over the ship's intercom. The flare hit them like a giant hammer. The Dakota was thrown sideways by the force of the electromagnetic pulse. Every light on the bridge went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, bathing everything in red light. "Damage report," Jake called out. "Main power is down," Pete reported. "I'm running everything on emergency systems. Life support is holding, but barely." "Navigation is offline," Sam said. "I can't tell where we are." "Communications are completely jammed," Amy added. "But Captain, the alien jamming signal is gone." 2. The flare knocked out everything. Jake looked at the main screen. It was working again, showing space around them. What he saw made his blood run cold. The alien fleet was in chaos. Ships were spinning out of control. Some had crashed into each other. Others were being pulled toward the dying star by its gravity. The perfect formation that had surrounded the Dakota was completely broken. "My God," Lisa Barnes whispered. "Look at them." Jake counted the ships he could see. At least 50 alien vessels were badly damaged or destroyed. More were in trouble, their systems failing as they tried to escape the radiation storm. "Captain," Amy said, her voice shaking, "I'm getting distress signals from the alien ships. They're calling for help." Jake felt sick to his stomach. He had wanted to escape, not cause a massacre. These aliens had threatened his ship, but watching them die was horrible. "Can we help them?" he asked. Lisa stared at him. "Captain, they were going to kill us an hour ago." "I know, but this isn't right. We can't just watch them die." Dr. Carl Hudson spoke up from his science station. "Captain, helping them might be our only chance to prevent a war. If we rescue some of their people, they might listen to us." "Pete, how badly damaged are we?" Jake asked. "Not good, but we're in better shape than most of those alien ships. Our shields held better than theirs did." Jake made a decision that he knew might be wrong, but felt right. "Danny, can you maneuver the ship?" Danny Shaw tested his flight controls. "Yes, sir. Engines are running on emergency power, but I can move us around." "Take us toward the nearest damaged alien ship. Amy, try to contact them." "Captain," Lisa protested, "this could be a trap." "Look at them, Lisa. They're dying. People who are dying don't usually set traps." Amy worked at her communications station. "I'm getting a response from a large alien ship about 2 kilometers away. They're badly damaged. Life support is failing." "What are they saying?" "It's hard to understand. The translation system is damaged, but I think they're asking for help." Jake looked at the main screen. The alien ship was huge, probably the fleet's command vessel. Part of its hull had been torn open by the solar flare. He could see lights flickering inside as their systems failed. "How many aliens are on that ship?" he asked Dr. Hudson. Carl checked his readings. "Probably several hundred, maybe more." "We can't rescue that many people," Lisa said. "No, but we can try to help repair their life support systems." "Pete, is that possible?" Pete's voice came from the engine room. "Maybe. But, Captain, we'd have to get very close to their ship. That's dangerous." "Danny, take us closer. Carefully." The Dakota moved slowly toward the damaged alien vessel. As they got closer, Jake could see the destruction the solar flare had caused. The alien ship's smooth black hull was cracked and twisted. Atmosphere was leaking out into space. "Captain," Amy said, "they're trying to communicate with us. The translation system is working a little better now. Put them on speaker." A weak alien voice filled the bridge. The words were broken and hard to understand. "Human ship. Help us. Many dying. Please." Jake felt his heart sink. These aliens had called his people ancient destroyers just hours ago. Now they were begging for help. "Tell them we want to help," Jake said. "Ask them if they can move their ship away from the star's gravity well." Amy translated the message. The alien response came back quickly. "Cannot move. Engines dead. Being pulled toward star." Sam checked his navigation readings. "Captain, they're right. That ship is caught in the star's gravity. In about 2 hours, it will be pulled into the star and destroyed. Can we tow them? Not a ship that size. We don't have enough power." Jake thought hard. The alien ship was too big to tow and too damaged to move on its own. But maybe there was another way. "Pete, could we transfer some of our emergency power to their ship? Enough to get their engines working?" "It's possible, but we'd have to connect our ships together. That's very risky." "Why risky?" "If something goes wrong, both ships could be destroyed." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They had followed him into this radiation storm. Now he was asking them to risk their lives to save their enemies. "What do you all think?" he asked. Lisa spoke first. "Captain, I think you're crazy. But if you want to try to save them, I'll support you." Amy nodded. "We should try to help them," Sam agreed. "It's the right thing to do." Dr. Hudson was already preparing his equipment. "I want to study their biology anyway. This could be valuable for first contact protocols." Pete's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, if we're going to do this, we need to do it fast. That ship doesn't have much time." "All right," Jake decided. "We're going to try to save them. Danny, position us next to their ship. Pete, prepare to transfer power. Mary Phillips should help you set up the connection." As the Dakota moved closer to the alien vessel, Jake wondered if he was making the right choice. His crew trusted him, but he was about to risk all their lives to save aliens who had wanted to destroy them. The dying star continued to throw out radiation and energy. More alien ships were in trouble. The perfect fleet that had surrounded them was now scattered and broken. But maybe, Jake thought, this disaster could become something good. Maybe saving these aliens would prevent a war between their species. Maybe it would be the beginning of peace instead of the end of everything. He watched as his crew prepared to risk their lives for their former enemies and felt proud of them all. The Dakota moved carefully next to the huge alien ship. Jake Morrison watched on the main screen as his crew prepared for the most dangerous rescue mission of their lives. The damaged alien vessel was 3 times larger than their ship, with parts of its black hull torn open and sparking. "Pete, how are we going to connect our power systems to theirs?" Jake asked. Pete Collins' voice came from the engine room. "Mary Phillips and I have been working on it. We can use our emergency power cables, but someone will have to go outside and manually connect them to the alien ship." "That's an EVA mission in a radiation storm," Lisa Barnes said. "Whoever goes out there will get a massive dose of radiation." Jake knew she was right. An EVA meant extravehicular activity, going outside the ship in a spacesuit. It was always dangerous, but doing it near a dying star that was throwing out radiation was almost suicide. "I'll go," Mary Phillips said over the intercom. She was one of Pete's best technicians, small and quick with her hands. "No," Jake said firmly. "I'm not sending anyone on a suicide mission." "Captain," Mary's voice came back. "I'm the only one who knows these power systems well enough to make the connection quickly." The longer someone is outside, the more radiation they'll absorb. Dr. Kate Johnson spoke up from the medical bay. I can give whoever goes out there radiation medicine that will help protect them. But Mary is right. It has to be done fast. Jake felt terrible. He was asking his crew to risk their lives for aliens who had wanted to kill them just hours before. But he also knew it was the right thing to do. All right, Mary. But you take Dr. Johnson's strongest radiation medicine and you get back inside as fast as possible. Yes, sir. I'll need someone to help me carry the cables. I'll go with her, volunteered Danny Shaw from his pilot station. Danny, I need you flying the ship. Pete can handle the ship's position from engineering. I want to help Mary. Jake nodded. Danny was young and brave, and he was good with technical equipment. Fine, but both of you follow safety protocols exactly. While Mary and Danny prepared for their EVA mission, Amy Rodriguez worked at her communications station. Captain, I'm getting more messages from the alien ship. Their life support is failing faster than we thought. What are they saying? They're asking about our intentions. I think they're surprised that we're trying to help them. Dr. Carl Hudson looked up from his science station. Captain, this could be our chance to learn about their culture. If I could talk to one of their leaders, let's focus on keeping them alive first, Jake said. We can worry about cultural exchange later. On the main screen, Jake could see the alien ship being slowly pulled toward the dying star. They didn't have much time. Mary and Danny are ready for EVA, Pete reported. I'm monitoring their life. Signs from here. Go ahead, Jake ordered. Jake watched through the ship's external cameras as two small figures in spacesuits left the Dakota's airlock. They carried thick power cables between them, moving carefully toward the damaged alien vessel. Radiation levels are high out there, Dr. Johnson reported, but the medicine should protect them for about 20 minutes. Mary and Danny reached the alien ship's hull. Jake could see them working to find a connection point for the power cables. The alien ship's surface was smooth black metal, different from anything humans had built. I found something that looks like a power coupling. Mary's voice came through her radio. But it's a completely different design from ours. Can you adapt our cables to fit? Pete asked. I'm trying. Danny is helping me modify the connection. Jake watched nervously as his two crew members worked on the alien hull. Every second they stayed outside, they absorbed more dangerous radiation. Captain, Amy said, the aliens are asking what we're doing to their ship. They sound confused. Tell them we're trying to give them power so their engines can work again. Amy translated the message. A few moments later, she got a response. They're asking why we would help them. They say humans are supposed to be their ancient enemies. Jake thought about that. Ask them to explain about these ancient enemies. Amy sent the message and waited for a response. When it came, her face went pale. Captain, you need to hear this. She put the alien voice on the bridge speakers. The voice was weak but clearer than before. The translation system was working. Better now. For generations, our people have fought the ancient destroyers, ships that attack without warning, technology we cannot match. They destroyed our colonies, killed millions of our people. The description in our sacred texts matches. Your appearance exactly. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Ask them when these attacks happened. The alien answered quickly. The attacks continue still. 3 cycles ago, they destroyed our outer colony. 5 cycles ago, they attacked our mining station. Dr. Hudson looked confused. Captain, that doesn't make sense. Humans have never been to this part of space before. Ask them to describe these attackers more specifically, Jake ordered. Amy translated the question. The aliens' response made everyone on. The bridge falls silent. Tall beings in silver armor, ships that move without sound, weapons that turn matter to dust. They speak in the old language, the language of the creators. That doesn't sound like humans at all, Lisa said. Jake agreed. Amy, ask them if they have any images or recordings of these attackers. There was a long pause before the alien responded. We have the sacred memory crystals, but they are damaged. Our ship's data core was hurt in the starfire. Connection made, Mary's voice came through the radio. We're transferring power now. Jake could see lights starting to flicker on inside the alien ship. Their life support systems were coming back online. Get back inside now, Jake ordered. You've been out there too long. Mary and Danny began moving back toward the Dakotas. Airlock. Jake watched them carefully, worried about how much radiation they had absorbed. Captain, Amy said excitedly, the alien ship is responding to our power transfer. Their engines are starting to work. On the main screen, Jake could see the alien vessel beginning to pull away from the star's gravity. The rescue was working. Mary and Danny are back inside, Pete reported. Getting them to medical bay for radiation treatment. Dr. Johnson's voice came over the intercom. Both of them absorbed significant radiation, but they should be fine with treatment. Jake felt relief wash over him. His crew was safe, and they had successfully saved the alien ship. Captain, Amy said, the alien commander wants to speak with you directly. Put him on speaker. A new alien voice came through the speakers. This one sounded stronger and more authoritative. Human Captain, I am Commander Zektar of the Vakari fleet. You have saved my ship and my people. This confuses me greatly. Why does it confuse you? Jake asked. Because you are supposed to be our ancient enemies. Yet you risked your lives to save us. This does not match the behavior described in our sacred texts. Dr. Hudson leaned forward. Commander, could there be a mistake? Could the beings attacking your people be someone else? There was a long pause. Then Commander Zektar said something that changed everything. It is possible. The attacks happen rarely, and no one has ever returned alive from an encounter with the ancient destroyers. Our knowledge comes only from damaged ships and dying messages. Jake felt a spark of hope. Commander, would you be willing to share your data about these attackers? Maybe we can help you figure out who is really attacking your people. Another pause. Then, Human Captain, you have saved our lives when you could have let us die. Perhaps the sacred texts are wrong. Perhaps there has been a great misunderstanding. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. They had risked everything to save. They're enemies, and now it looked like those enemies might not be enemies after all. Commander, Jake said, would you be willing to work together to find the real truth about these attacks? Yes, Human Captain. I believe I would. 3 hours later, both ships had moved to a safer distance from the dying star. Jake Morrison stood in the Dakota's main cargo bay waiting for their first alien visitors. Commander Zektar had agreed to come aboard with a small group of his officers to share information about the mysterious attackers. Are you nervous, Captain? Dr. Carl Hudson asked. He stood nearby with his scientific equipment, excited to meet real aliens for the first time. Yes, Jake admitted. This is history, being made right here. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Jake's first thought when he saw the aliens was that they looked surprisingly human-like. Commander Zektar was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large dark eyes. He wore a simple uniform that looked military but elegant. Captain Morrison, Zektar said in English. His voice was deep and careful. I thank you again for saving my people. You're welcome, Commander. I'm glad we could help. Zektar looked around the cargo bay with curiosity. Your ship is very different from ours. More practical. 2 other aliens had come with Zektar. One was smaller and carried what looked like a data tablet. The other was clearly a military officer, standing at attention with his hand near his weapon. These are my officers, Zektar explained. Sub-Commander Linda, our information specialist, and Guard Captain Mortek. Jake introduced his own team. This is Dr. Hudson, our science officer, and security chief Barnes. Lisa Barnes studied the aliens carefully. Jake could tell she was still ready for trouble, even though they were trying to make peace. Commander, Dr. Hudson said, we're very interested in your data about these attackers. Would you be willing to share what you know? Zektar nodded to Sub-Commander Linda, who activated her data tablet. A hologram appeared in the air above the device, showing a 3-dimensional image. Jake stared at the hologram. It showed a spaceship, but not like any human vessel he had ever seen. The ship was silver and seemed to flow like liquid metal. Strange symbols covered its hull. This image comes from one of our mining stations, Zektar explained. The station was attacked 6 months ago. Only one ship escaped, and it was badly damaged. Dr. Hudson studied the hologram carefully. The design is completely unknown to us. This definitely isn't a human ship. The attackers used weapons we don't understand, Linda added. Her voice was higher than Zektar's, almost musical. They could destroy our ships with single shots. Our shields had no effect. How long have these attacks been happening? Jake asked. For over 50 years, Zektar replied. At first they were rare. One attack every few years. But lately they have become more frequent. Lisa Barnes frowned. That doesn't make sense. 50 years ago, humans barely had space travel. We definitely weren't attacking alien colonies. Then who is attacking us? Guard Captain Mortek spoke for the first time. His voice was angry and frustrated. Jake looked at the hologram again. Something about the flowing metal design seemed familiar, but he couldn't place it. Commander, Dr. Hudson said, do these attackers ever try to communicate? Do they make demands or give warnings? Never, Zektar said. They appear without warning, destroy everything they can, then disappear. They leave no survivors if possible. That sounds like automated defense systems, Pete Collins said. He had joined the group to listen to the discussion. Everyone turned to look at him. What do you mean? Jake asked. Well, Captain, if I wanted to protect something important, I might build automated ships to patrol the area. They would attack anyone who came too close, without asking questions. Dr. Hudson nodded excitedly. That makes sense. Pete, you might be right. These could be ancient defense systems left behind by some long-dead civilization. Zektar looked confused. Ancient defense systems? Think about it, Dr. Hudson explained. Some race built these ships thousands of years ago to protect their territory. The original builders are gone, but the ships keep following their programming. But why would they attack our colonies? Linda asked. Because the colonies are expanding into the territory they're programmed to protect, Jake realized. Zektar was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, if this is true, then we have been fighting ghosts, machines following the orders of the dead. Do you have any idea where these attacks come from? Lisa asked. Linda worked with her data tablet, bringing up a star map. Red dots marked the locations of attacks over the past 50 years. Sam Turner, who had been studying the map quietly, suddenly spoke up. Look at the pattern. All the attacks happen in a rough circle around this area. He pointed to an empty region of space on the map. There's nothing there, Mortek said. That's what makes it interesting, Sam replied. If these are defense systems, they're protecting something in that empty area. Dr. Hudson studied the map. Commander, have your people ever sent ships to investigate that region? Many times, Zektar said sadly. None have ever returned. Jake felt excitement building in his chest. What if we could find the source of these defense systems? The central control point. And do what? Lisa asked. Shut them down. If these are just machines following old programming, maybe we can reprogram them or turn them off. Zektar looked hopeful for the first time since coming aboard. Captain Morrison, do you really think that's possible? I don't know, but it's worth trying. Your people have been suffering from these attacks for 50 years. If there's a chance we can stop them, we should try. But it would be very dangerous, Linda said. If we're wrong, we could all be killed. If we're right, Jake countered, we could save thousands of lives and prevent a war between our peoples. Zektar was quiet again, thinking hard. Then he said, Captain, would you really risk your ship and crew to help us stop these attacks? Jake looked around at his crew. Dr. Hudson was nodding eagerly. Pete looked thoughtful but willing. Lisa seemed concerned but determined. Sam was already studying the star charts. Yes, Jake said. We'll help you. Then we will work together, Zektar decided. My ship has better weapons and shields. Your ship has technology we do not understand. Together we might succeed where we would fail alone. What about the rest of your fleet? Jake asked. Zektar's expression became sad. Many ships were lost in the radiation storm. The survivors are returning home. But my ship is still functional, and I have a good crew. Then let's plan our mission, Jake said. Dr. Hudson, I want you to work with Linda to analyze all their data about the attackers. Pete, coordinate with their engineers to see if we can improve both ships' defenses. What about weapons? Lisa asked. We'll need them, Jake admitted. But hopefully we won't have to fight. Maybe we can find a way to shut down these defense systems without destroying them. Zektar stepped forward and extended his hand in what looked like a human handshake. Captain Morrison, I believe this partnership will be remembered by both our peoples for many generations. Jake shook the alien commander's hand. The skin felt cool and dry, but the gesture was warm and genuine. I hope you're right, Commander. I hope we're about to end a war instead of starting one. As the two crews began working together, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before. Humans and aliens working together to face an unknown enemy. But looking at his crew and their new alien allies, he felt confident they could succeed. After all, they had already survived one disaster today. Maybe they could prevent an even bigger one tomorrow. 2 days later, both ships were ready for their dangerous mission. Jake Morrison walked through the Dakota's corridors, checking on his crew's preparations. The ship felt different now, with alien technology integrated into their systems and Vakari engineers working alongside humans. In the engine room, Pete Collins was explaining human power systems to a Vakari engineer named Teclon. The alien was fascinated by how humans built their equipment. Your energy conduits are so simple, Teclon said in his careful English, but they are very strong. Our systems are more elegant, but they break more easily. That's humans for you, Pete laughed. We build things to last even if they're not pretty. Jake found Dr. Hudson in the science lab with Sub-Commander Linda. They had been working together for hours, analyzing data about the mysterious attackers. Captain, Dr. Hudson said excitedly, We've made an important discovery. Show him, Linda. The Vicari officer activated her holographic display. It showed the region of space they were heading toward, but now it was marked with energy readings and gravitational anomalies. There is definitely something in that empty area, Linda explained. Our sensors cannot see it directly, but there are signs of artificial structures. What kind of structures? Jake asked. Large ones, Dr. Hudson replied. Possibly a space station or artificial planet. The gravitational readings suggest something massive. And well hidden, Linda added. The stealth technology is far beyond anything our people know. Jake studied the display. If there really was a hidden base in that region, it would explain why the attack ships seemed to appear from nowhere. How long until we reach the target area? Jake asked. 6 hours at current speed, came Sam Turner's voice from the bridge, over the intercom. Jake made his way to the bridge where he found an interesting sight. Sam was working with a Vicari navigator named Cormel, comparing star charts and plotting their course together. Their navigation technology is amazing, Sam told Jake. They can calculate jump coordinates much faster than we can, and their ship handling is very smooth, Cormel replied. Human pilots think in 3 dimensions better than we do. Jake was pleased to see how well the two crews were working together. At first, there had been tension and suspicion on both sides, but shared danger and common goals had quickly broken down those barriers. Amy Rodriguez turned from her communication station. Captain, I'm getting a message from Commander Zektar's ship. Put him on speaker. Zektar's voice filled the bridge. Captain Morrison, our sensors are detecting increased activity ahead. The automated defenses may have noticed our approach. What kind of activity? Energy signatures consistent with the attackers' weapon systems. They may be preparing to launch interceptor ships. Jake felt his stomach tighten. They weren't even at their destination yet, and already the enemy was responding to their presence. All hands, battle stations, Jake announced over the ship's intercom. This is not a drill. The bridge became busy as crew members took their positions. Lisa Barnes coordinated with Vicari security officers to prepare both ships' defenses. Captain, Amy reported, Commander Zektar is requesting permission to link our tactical systems. His ship's weapons are more powerful, but our targeting computers are more accurate. Do it, Jake ordered. As the two ships' systems connected, Jake felt the Dakota shudder slightly. The Vicari ship was physically larger and more heavily armed. If they were going to survive what was coming, they would need every advantage they could get. Contact ahead, Sam announced. Multiple ships approaching fast. The main screen showed 3 silver vessels emerging from empty space. They looked exactly like the attackers from the Vicari records, flowing metal shapes covered in strange symbols. Those ships just appeared out of nowhere, Amy said with amazement. 1 second empty space, the next second they were there. Stealth. Technology, Dr. Hudson observed from his station. Very advanced. The attacking ships moved unlike anything Jake had ever seen. They didn't seem to follow normal physics, changing direction without slowing down or using visible engines. They're targeting us, Lisa reported. Both ships are being scanned. No communication attempts, Amy added. They're not trying to talk to us at all. Just like the record said, Jake muttered. They attack without warning. Commander Zektar's voice came over the communications system. Captain Morrison, prepare for combat. These machines will not negotiate. The first attacker fired a beam of pure energy at the Vicari ship. Zektar's shields flared with light as they absorbed the impact. Their shields held, Lisa reported. But those weapons are incredibly powerful. Return fire, Jake ordered. Both human and Vakari ships fired at the attackers. The combined firepower was impressive, but the silver ships seemed to absorb the energy without taking damage. "Our weapons are having no effect," Lisa said with frustration. "Captain," Dr. Hudson called out, "I'm reading something strange. Those ships aren't just armored. They're regenerating damage as fast as we cause it." "Self-repairing armor," Pete's voice came from the engine room. "That's why they're so hard to destroy." The second attacker fired at the Dakota. Jake felt the ship shake as their shields absorbed the hit. "Shields down to 60%, Sam reported. "We can't win a straight fight," Jake realized. "We need a different strategy." "Captain," Dr. Hudson said excitedly, "what if we don't try to destroy them? What if we try to disable them?" "How?" "Their self-repair systems must require a lot of energy. If we could overload their power systems," Jake understood immediately. "Amy, send this plan to Commander Zektar. We're going to try to overload their systems instead of destroying them." The third attacker ship had been circling around behind them. Now it fired at both ships simultaneously, forcing them to break formation. "Evasive maneuvers," Jake ordered. "Danny, keep us moving." Danny Shaw's hands flew over his controls as he piloted the Dakota through a series of sharp turns. The alien ship's weapons barely missed them. "Zektar acknowledges the plan," Amy reported. "His ship will target the lead attacker's power core." "We'll take the one on our left," Jake decided. "Focus all weapons on its central section." Both ships concentrated their fire on single targets. Instead of trying to destroy the attackers, they aimed for power overloads. The strategy worked. The lead attacker suddenly stopped moving, its silver surface flickering with electrical discharges. "It's disabled!" Dr. Hudson shouted. "The power overload worked." The second attacker also stopped functioning as the Vakari ship's weapons overloaded its systems. But the third attacker was still active, and it was angry. The silver ship fired repeatedly at both human and alien vessels, trying to destroy them before they could disable it too. "Shields failing," Sam reported as another energy beam hit the Dakota. "One more hit like that and we're finished," Pete warned from engineering. Jake watched the attacking ship line up for another shot. They had seconds before it fired again. "All weapons, fire everything we have at that ship's power core," Jake ordered. The Dakota's weapons fired continuously at the attacker. The Vakari ship added its firepower to the assault. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the attacking ship's surface began to flicker and spark. "Its power systems are overloading," Dr. Hudson reported. "But it's still trying to fire." The silver ship's weapons began to charge for one final shot. Jake could see energy building up along its hull. "It's going to explode," Lisa said with alarm. "We need to get away from it." "Danny, full reverse," Jake shouted. Both ships pulled away from the damaged attacker just as its power core exploded. The blast lit up space with brilliant white light. When the light faded, all three attacking ships were floating dead in space. "We did it," Amy said with amazement. "We actually beat them." "But this was just the first wave," Jake said grimly. "The real challenge is still ahead of us." On the main screen, the hidden base was becoming visible as its stealth systems failed. It was enormous, a space station the size of a small moon, covered in weapons and defensive systems. "There's our target," Jake said. "Now the real mission begins." The massive space station filled the main screen as both ships approached carefully. Jake Morrison had never seen anything so large built by intelligent beings. The structure was dark gray metal, covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Scanning the station now," Dr. Carl Hudson reported from his science station. "Captain, this thing is old, really old. I'm reading energy signatures that are thousands of years ancient. Commander Zektar's voice came over the communications system. Captain Morrison, my sensors show the station is launching more defender ships. At least 20 of them. Jake could see silver dots separating from the station's surface, growing larger as they approached. Each one was another of the liquid metal attackers they had just fought. We can't fight 20 of those ships, Lisa Barnes said grimly. We barely survived against 3. We don't have to fight them, Dr. Hudson said excitedly. Look at the station's design. See those large openings near the center? Those look like docking bays. You want us to fly inside that thing? Danny Shaw asked from his pilot station. Think about it, Dr. Hudson explained. If this is an automated defense system, it's designed to keep intruders away from the station. Once we're inside, the defensive programming might not know how to handle us. Jake studied the approaching defender ships. They would reach his position in just a few minutes. Commander Zektar, Jake called over the radio. Dr. Hudson thinks we should try to dock with the station directly. What do you think? There was a pause before Zektar responded. It is very dangerous, Captain Morrison, but fighting 20 defender ships would be suicide. I agree we should try. Danny, plot a course for those docking bays, Jake ordered. Best speed. The Dakota accelerated toward the ancient station, with the Vakari ship close behind. The defender ships changed course to intercept them, but they were designed for long-range patrol, not close-range pursuit. The docking bay is getting larger, Sam Turner reported from his navigation station. It's big enough for both our ships. As they got closer, Jake could see that the docking bay was enormous. Ships much larger than either the Dakota or Zektar's vessel could have fit inside easily. Whoever built this station had really big ships, Amy Rodriguez observed. The defenders are catching up, Lisa warned. They'll be in weapons range in 30 seconds. Almost there, Danny said, his hands steady on the flight controls despite the pressure. The Dakota flew through the docking bay entrance just as the first defender ship fired at them. The energy beam hit the station's hull instead, causing no damage to the ancient metal. Zektar's ship followed them inside moments later. Both vessels landed on the docking bay floor, which automatically sealed itself once they were inside. The defenders have stopped pursuing, Amy reported. They're taking up positions outside the docking bay. Dr. Hudson was right, Jake said with relief. The defensive programming doesn't know what to do with intruders who are already inside. Pete Collins' voice came from the engine room. Captain, the station is pressurizing the docking bay. Atmosphere is building up around us. What kind of atmosphere? Dr. Kate Johnson asked from the medical bay. Oxygen, nitrogen, and some trace gases. It's breathable for humans, and probably for Vakari, too. Jake was amazed. This station is designed to accommodate visitors. It's not just a weapons platform. Commander Zektar's image appeared on the main screen as a video connection. Was established between the ships. Captain Morrison, should we explore the station together? Yes, but carefully. We don't know what kind of security systems might be active inside. Jake selected a small team for the exploration mission. Dr. Hudson would study any alien technology they found. Lisa Barnes would handle security. Mary Phillips would examine the station's engineering systems. And Sam Turner would help with navigation inside the massive structure. They met Commander Zektar and his team at the airlock between the docking bay and the station interior. The alien commander had brought Sub-Commander Linda and guard captain, Mortek, plus a Vakari engineer named Veltar. The air is safe to breathe, Dr. Johnson confirmed through their radio headsets. But keep your environment suits on just in case. The team entered the station through a large airlock that opened automatically as they approached. Inside, they found corridors that were clearly designed for beings much taller than either humans or Vicari. "Look at the ceiling height," Dr. Hudson said with wonder. "The original builders must have been at least 10 feet tall." The walls were covered in symbols and writing that neither human nor Vicari databases could translate. But as they walked deeper into the station, some of the symbols began to glow softly. "The station is reacting to our presence," Linda observed, scanning the glowing symbols with her equipment. "It's trying to communicate," Dr. Hudson realized. "The symbols are changing as we watch them." Suddenly, a holographic figure appeared in front of them. It was tall and thin, with 4 arms and large eyes. The being spoke in a language none of them recognized, but somehow the words became understandable as they listened. "Greetings, travelers. I am the caretaker of this facility. You have passed the first test by entering peacefully rather than with violence." Jake stepped forward carefully. "We come seeking to end the attacks on innocent people. The automated defense systems have been destroying ships for decades." The holographic being nodded sadly. "Yes, I am aware of this problem. The builders created the defense systems to protect this facility during a great war. But the war ended thousands of years ago, and the builders are gone. The defense systems continue to follow their original programming." "Can you shut them down?" Commander Zektar asked. "Not easily. The defense systems were designed to operate independently, even from me. But there is a way. The central control core is deep within the station. If it can be reprogrammed, the attacks will stop." "What's the catch?" Lisa asked suspiciously. The caretaker looked at her with what might have been approval. "You are wise to ask. The control core is protected by the station's security systems. They will test anyone who approaches to determine if they are worthy to reprogram the defenses." "What kind of tests?" Dr. Hudson asked. "Tests of intelligence, courage, and wisdom. The builders wanted to ensure that only worthy beings could control their weapons." Jake looked at his team, then at Commander Zektar. "How dangerous are these tests?" "Some who have attempted them in the past did not survive. But the danger comes from failure, not from the tests themselves. If you succeed, you will be unharmed." "If we succeed," Jake said, "will you help us reprogram the defense systems to stop attacking peaceful ships?" "Yes. That is what the builders would have wanted. They created the defenses to protect their people, not to harm innocents." Commander Zektar stepped forward. "Caretaker, my people have suffered greatly from these attacks. I will attempt your tests." "And so will I," Jake added. "Our peoples should work together on this." The caretaker studied both leaders for a long moment. "Very well. The tests are designed for a single individual, but perhaps 2 minds working together will be stronger than one alone." The holographic being turned and began walking down the corridor. "Follow me to the testing chamber. Your companions may observe, but they cannot help you once the tests begin." As they walked deeper into the ancient station, Jake wondered what kind of challenges they were about to face. The fate of both human and Vicari lives depended on their success, but looking at Commander Zektar walking beside him, Jake felt confident. They had already overcome mistrust and worked together to get this far. Whatever tests awaited them, they would face them together. The corridor ended at a massive door covered in complex symbols. As they approached, the door began to open slowly, revealing a chamber filled with strange lights and floating geometric shapes. "The testing chamber," the caretaker announced. "Are you ready to begin?" Jake and Zektar looked at each other, then nodded. "We're ready," Jake said. The real test was about to begin. Jake Morrison and Commander Zektar stepped into the testing chamber together. The door sealed behind them with a deep, resonant sound that seemed to come from the station's very bones. The chamber was circular and vast, filled with floating, geometric shapes that pulsed with soft light. "Do not fear," the caretaker's voice echoed around them. "The tests will challenge your minds, not harm your bodies. You must work together to succeed." The first test began immediately. The floating shapes around them rearranged themselves into a complex three-dimensional puzzle. Symbols appeared in the air, showing mathematical equations and star charts. "It's a navigation problem," Jake realized. "We need to plot a course through this stellar region without hitting any of the gravity wells." Zektar studied the symbols with his large, dark eyes. "But look, Captain Morrison, the solution requires knowledge of both our people's star charts. Neither of us alone has all the information needed." Jake smiled despite the pressure. "Then we work together. You know your people's stellar cartography, and I know ours." For the next hour, they shared their knowledge, combining human and Vakari understanding of space navigation. Slowly, the correct path became clear. When they inputted the final coordinates, the floating shapes aligned perfectly and glowed with golden light. "First test completed," the caretaker announced. "You have shown that cooperation between different peoples can achieve what neither could alone." The chamber changed around them. Now they stood in what looked like a command center during a battle. Holographic displays showed ships fighting in space, with civilian vessels caught in the middle. "This is the second test," the caretaker explained. "You command the defensive fleet. How do you protect the innocent while defeating the enemy?" Jake and Zektar studied the tactical situation. The enemy ships were powerful and aggressive, attacking both military and civilian targets. The defensive fleet was smaller, but could be positioned strategically. "If we engage them directly, the civilians will be caught in the crossfire," Zektar observed. "But if we don't fight, the enemy will destroy everything," Jake replied. They thought carefully about the problem. Then Jake had an idea. "What if we don't fight them directly? What if we lead them away from the civilians first?" "A fighting retreat," Zektar agreed. "We sacrifice some of our tactical advantage to save innocent lives." Working together, they commanded the holographic fleet to perform a complex maneuver. The defensive ships engaged the enemy just long enough to get their attention, then retreated toward empty space. The enemy followed, leaving the civilian ships unharmed. Once the civilians were safe, Jake and Zektar used their combined fleet to defeat the enemy in open space. The holographic battle ended with all civilian ships safe, and the enemy defeated. "Second test completed," the caretaker said. "You have shown that protecting innocent life is more important than tactical advantage." The chamber changed again. This time they found themselves standing before a massive computer console. Streams of data flowed across multiple screens showing the activities of the automated defense systems. "This is the final test," the caretaker announced. "You must reprogram the defense systems. But be warned. If you make a mistake, the systems could become even more dangerous than they already are." Jake looked at the alien computer interface. The symbols and controls were completely unfamiliar to him. "I don't understand any of this," he admitted to Zektar. "Neither do I," the Vakari commander replied. "But perhaps that is the point. We must trust each other completely." They approached the problem systematically. Jake described what he knew about human-computer programming principles. Zektar shared Vakari approaches to artificial intelligence. Neither could operate the ancient system alone, but together they began to understand its logic. Look, Jake pointed to a section of code flowing across the screen. This part defines what the system considers an enemy. And this section, Zektar added, controls how it responds to potential threats. The original programming was designed for a war that had ended thousands of years ago. Any ship entering the protected region was automatically classified as hostile. The system had no way to recognize peaceful explorers or traders. Working carefully together, they began to modify the code. They added new parameters that would allow the system to distinguish between warships and peaceful vessels. They programmed it to issue warnings before attacking and to accept surrender from ships that meant no harm. There, Jake said finally. The system should now protect the station while allowing peaceful ships to pass safely. But will it work? Zektar asked. Before the caretaker could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the chamber. The holographic being looked concerned. The defense systems have detected a large fleet approaching. They are requesting orders from the control center. Jake and Zektar looked at each other. This was the real test of their reprogramming. "Show us the approaching fleet," Jake requested. A holographic display appeared, showing dozens of Vakari ships approaching the station. They were flying in military formation, but they were not firing weapons. "Those are rescue ships," Zektar explained. "My people sent them when they lost contact with my vessel." "Perfect," Jake said. "Now we can see if our reprogramming worked." They watched tensely as the defense systems scanned the approaching fleet. Instead of immediately attacking, the automated weapons sent a warning message to the Vakari ships. "Unknown vessels, you are approaching a protected zone. State your intentions or withdraw immediately." The Vakari fleet commander responded promptly. "We are searching for survivors from a previous engagement. We mean no harm to this facility." Jake held his breath as the defense systems processed this response. The original programming would have attacked immediately, but their new code was designed to evaluate such situations more carefully. After a tense moment, the defense systems replied, "Your intentions are acceptable. You may pass, but do not approach the central station without permission." "It worked," Zektar said with excitement. "The systems are allowing peaceful passage." The caretaker smiled. At least, Jake thought it was a smile. "You have passed all tests successfully. You have shown intelligence by solving complex problems together. You have shown courage by risking your lives to help others, and you have shown wisdom by choosing to protect life rather than seek revenge." The chamber began to change back to its original form. "The defense systems are now under your joint control. You may program them to protect both human and Vakari space or shut them down entirely." Jake looked at Commander Zektar. "What do you think we should do?" "These weapons are too powerful to simply abandon," Zektar replied thoughtfully. "But they should be used only to protect innocent life, never to attack peaceful beings." "I agree. Let's reprogram them to patrol the border regions, protecting both our peoples from real threats, while allowing peaceful contact between our civilizations." They spent another hour working with the ancient computer systems, establishing new patrol routes and rules of engagement. The automated defenses would now protect the space lanes between human and Vakari territory, ensuring safe passage for traders and diplomats while defending against pirates and aggressive raiders. "There," Jake said finally. "A new era of cooperation between our peoples." The caretaker bowed formally to both of them. The builders would be proud. You have used their legacy to create peace rather than war. As they left the testing chamber, Jake felt a profound sense of accomplishment. What had started as a trap and a misunderstanding had become the foundation for lasting friendship between two civilizations. Commander Zektar walked beside him, no longer an enemy, but a trusted ally. Captain Morrison, when we return to our respective homes, I believe our peoples will remember this day as the beginning of a new age. I hope so, Jake replied. Our crews work together to solve an ancient problem. Maybe that's a good sign for the future. They returned to their ships to find both crews working together to repair damage from their battle with the defense systems. Humans and Vakari were sharing tools, techniques, and stories. As the Dakota and Zektar's ship prepared to leave the ancient station, Jake received a final message from the caretaker. Captain Morrison, Commander Zektar, you have shown that different. Peoples can work together for the common good. Perhaps the galaxy has reason to hope for peace after all. Jake looked out at the stars ahead of them. Somewhere out there, human and Vakari worlds waited to hear the news of first contact between their civilizations. It would be good news. The best kind of news. They had turned potential disaster into lasting peace, and Jake Morrison knew that this was only the beginning of their shared adventure among the stars.